Hello and welcome to the Author Webinar Series, brought to you by the Nonfiction Authors Association and Writers Conference. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you are seeking guidance for your own author journey and want to reach your goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. We look forward to connecting with you and hope you enjoy this webinar.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another educational webinar with the Nonfiction Authors Association. I am your host, Stephanie Chandler, and I am so thrilled to have our guest today. Casey Demchak is an award-winning copywriter. He is going to teach us about how to write best-selling book copy, and he is a whiz. I am really excited. We haven't had him in a long time, but he's been here in the past, and he's got so much great content. He will share the slides. We will share the recording, so that will land in your inbox later today, and we will take your questions. So for those live, if you have questions, please pop them in the Q&A. We will take those at the end. And without further ado, I'm going to hand the floor over to Casey.
Okay, I will share my screen here. And then we're going to do the old F5 thing. Okay, can everybody see that?
Looks great.
So let me move this over here. Okay, so today we're going to go over 5 secrets to writing best-selling book marketing copy. And actually, I'm going to throw in, you're going to get much more than 5. So there's going to be a lot of tips within the tips. Okay. So during this session, what I'm gonna start off by telling you why book marketing copy, why having strong book marketing copy is so important and so essential to your book marketing campaign. And then I'm gonna again give you insight into 5 book marketing secrets and strategies that are gonna help you sell more books. And then I've got a big bonus tip for you as well. Let's just roll right into it. So the big reason why great book marketing copy is so important, and this is important. Here's the big reason. And again, as I go into this, a lot of this is based on, I've worked with dozens of authors. I've worked on a bunch of Amazon bestseller launch campaigns, quite a few of them, like 50 or 60. So a lot of these tips I'm going to give you I've put together based on working one-on-one with dozens of authors. So a big reason why marketing copy for your book is so important is that it's great to use social media to build awareness, to build a buzz and get people excited about your book. That's a very sound and important marketing tactic. But at some point, you need to write compelling marketing copy that's going to motivate people to buy your book right now instead of later or never. And when I've worked with a lot of authors, they kind of go, oh, marketing, sales copy, icky, yuck, I don't want to do that. What you're going to see as we go through all the tips I'm going to give you is that sales copy for your book does not have to be icky or something that makes you want to take a shower. It can be done in a very way that is value-driven, transformation-driven. It can be done in a very conversational way. So I'm going to give you a lot of insights about how to do that. But I want to stress that don't shy away from writing marketing copy that is compelling and persuasive, because at some point you're going to need that to sell your books. So we're going to get into the 5 big secrets that I've got prepared for you. Number 1 here is a real mindset thing. It looks like a small thing, but it's actually a big thing. When you sit down to work on your marketing copy, don't focus on what your book is about. Focus on what people will get out of your book. Again, having worked with a bunch of authors, they'll say to me, Casey, I need a description of what my book is about. My sales page needs to tell people what my book is about. And I go, no, you don't want to do that. You want to just have a little shift in mindset, and you want to focus your copy on what people will get out of your book, the benefits, the transformation. You're going to be hearing those words a lot as I go through this. When you focus your copy and your messaging on what people will get out of your book, they'll be very clear on what your book is about. So this is a kind of just a subtle mindset tweak, but this is the frame of mind you want to be in when you're working on your marketing copy. Don't get into telling what your book is about. Focus on what people will get out of your book. Because your reader, and we're all readers, so when you're checking out a book, your reader is asking, what's in this for me? What am I going to get out of this? Okay, we're always thinking that. So your reader's going to be thinking that when they're checking out your marketing content. So before you sit down to write your marketing content or generate your marketing content, write down the big takeaways that people get from your book. I got a saying here, benefits are king, so write them down. Now, obviously, there's a wide variety of nonfiction books. It's a big genre. There's all kinds of different topics. So you want to go through these questions here, and not all of them apply to every kind of nonfiction book, but I would say 2 or 3 of these apply to most any kind of nonfiction book. So you want to make a list of what are the reader takeaways? What are the primary takeaways you're going to get from my book? What kind of information am I teaching? If you're writing a book that's teaching people things, what kind of thirst are you quenching? What I mean by that is, let's say you're writing a self-development book. I've written marketing for lots of self-development books. And a lot of people who read self-development books read a bunch of them. So they have a real thirst for that topic. A lot of people read a lot of financial books. So if you think of what thirst do people have that I might be quenching with my copy? What curiosity are you satisfying? I worked on a book years ago. It was an archaeologist, and it was about he went around the world doing archaeology digs. So, that's his curiosity, like what's buried under these rocks out here in the Sahara Desert or something like that. So, he infused a lot of curiosity into his book. So think about what, am I satisfying a curiosity for people? What compelling questions are you answering if you're writing, let's say, financial books or something like that, financial wisdom books or retirement books? You're probably going to be answering a lot of questions for people. So write down what those questions are and what the answers are. What emotions are you inspiring or stirring up? What kind of wisdom or lessons are you sharing? Now, these might be applicable to memoir writers. I've worked with a lot of memoir writers who say, Casey, you talk about benefits, but this is a memoir. It's my story. There's no real benefits. Yeah, well, take the word benefits out and put in the word lessons, because any memoir, anytime you read somebody's story, you're learning something. You're learning lessons from their life, maybe things you should do that you should do in your life, or things you shouldn't do. But there's usually in a memoir, you are conveying some sort of wisdoms or lessons to people. So these are just things you want to go over before you start working on your copy. It's a good thing to answer these questions in detail, generate a lot of information, because again, it's about telling people what they're going to get out of your book, not so much telling them what your book is about. If you tell people what they're going to get out of your book, they'll be very clear on what your book is about. Here's a little sample. And there's a tip within a tip here, which I'll tell you about in just a second. This is for a wonderful book called Journaling Power by Mary L. McCarthy. She just put out the 10th anniversary edition. I helped her work on the book. So we're going to just buzz through the copy here. As you read Journaling Power, it becomes evident that the road to self-love, peace, and inner security can be paved with a pen. Scientific evidence supports Mary's revelation that expressive journaling can facilitate a personal transformation through which you release hang-ups and disempowering thoughts, elevate feelings of joy and lightness, tap into power, talents, and abilities, commit to new goals and take inspired actions, participate in the curing of your own disease. And then if you want, you can look at the last couple of lines there. But as you can see, this copy is stressing benefits. It's letting people know what they'll get out of this book. And if you read this, you're getting benefit statements, but you're going to know very much what the book is about. Now, the tip within a tip, as you can see here, I have highlighted every word, every use of the word you, your, yours in red. Okay, so the tip I want to give you is when you write your marketing copy, you always want to make it very you directed. We hear a lot of talk about what is the most powerful word in marketing. Well, it's generally agreed that the word free is the most powerful word in marketing. You never hear about the lonely second most powerful word in marketing. It's kind of like, who was the second guy to walk on the moon? Buzz Aldrin. So the word you is like the Buzz Aldrin of marketing copy. It's the second most powerful word. You want to direct your copy to one person. One person is reading your marketing copy. So you want to make it what we call very you directed. So that's why you can see this copy is very you directed. Now, this is a very subtle thing. It kind of works in the background, almost on a subliminal type of level. If I hadn't have highlighted all the variations of the word you wouldn't notice them really. It'd be a very subtle thing. So in addition to writing benefit-driven copy, you want to have you-directed copy where you're speaking directly to the reader you want to attract. Okay, that gets us into big secret number 2. Use simple, straightforward headlines. Again, this comes out of working with lots and lots of authors. Always remember, your headlines are the most important real estate in your book marketing copy. Never waste the space. All right, whether you're creating a postcard, a sales page, Amazon description, a one sheet, any piece of marketing content for your book, your headlines are the most important piece of real estate. So you never want to waste the space. And I'm going to have some headline examples for you, but the first thing I want to go over is you really want to know what is the purpose of a headline. And it's very simple. You want to grab the attention of your audience and motivate them to learn more about your book, which means jumping down into body copy to learn more. It's that simple. You just need to grab the attention of your audience and motivate them to want to learn more about your book in the body copy of whatever marketing piece you're creating. It's that simple. So accordingly, you don't have to be super cutesy, clever, crafty, sexy, witty with your headlines. A clear, benefit-focused headline often works the best. And I'm going to give you some headline types you can draw from. But very many times when I've worked with authors, they get a little hung up on headlines because they think, we're consumers. So we see a lot of commercials and a lot of direct-to-consumer commercials. So we think we have to have a snappy, witty, jazzy, clever headline, something very Madison Avenue-ish, but you don't. Oftentimes, just a simple, clever headline, a simple, clear headline states or implies a benefit will do the trick. And when you know that, it becomes quite easy to write or generate a whole bunch of headlines. Now, there are a bunch of proven headline formats that you can draw from. I'm going to give you 6 of my favorites, but if you research this, there's many more. And again, these are all simple, straightforward, nothing clever or fancy about any of them. Problem solution type headlines. This was for a book about pain management. Reverse your chronic pain without drugs. Okay, you're stating or implying a benefit there that you can reverse your pain without taking drugs. You're promising a benefit, and you're saying it in a very simple way. Reverse your chronic pain without drugs. A reader might think, well, how do I do that? And they go into your body copy to find out. How-to headlines are timeless. When in doubt, go to a how-to headline, and they're typically very applicable to nonfiction books. How to build big wealth after age 50. There's so many books now geared towards people in their 50s who realize, I may have to work into my 70s or something, but I want to have a second career or something like that. I'm getting out of the corporate world. How can I build wealth after age 50? So this book implies that jump into the copy below the headline to find out. Very simple. Great escape. This kind of headline, you can also call an intrigue headline. I called it a great escape here. This was a nonfiction book. I've got the headline, Travel to the Most Dangerous Places on Earth. About 13, 14 years ago, I worked with an author he was like 60. He retired from a long corporate career, and he wanted to write a book about the 10 most dangerous places on Earth. So he actually went to them. And I think he was arrested in 3 of them, got put in jail, managed to get out of jail, out of the country, and then on to the next most dangerous place. And he wrote a book about it. So again, it's a nonfiction book, so it needs a different kind of headline, but you can come up with a simple headline that creates intrigue. Travel to the most dangerous places on Earth. What are the most dangerous places on Earth? People are going to jump in the copy to find out and see what this adventure was all about. 3 more proven headline format. Reasons why. The reasons why is another go-to format that's been used a lot. 7 reasons why day trading can set you free. Obviously, this would be for a financial book. Again, we're implying a benefit that day trading can set you free. By saying 7 reasons, we're telling the reader that the information below is going to be organized in 7 orderly sections. People like that. They go, okay, this is going to be easy to go through. Same with your standard number list type of headline. 9 habits that lead to financial freedom. Again, kind of a financial headline. But one of the greatest business books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. What are the habits? There's 7 of them. This is going to be very orderly and easy to follow. And a tip, if you use a number in your headline, or like a reasons why or a numbered list, you want to use the number first. So you really don't want to bury the number in the middle of the headline. It's great to start off the headline with the number. And we're all taught in English class, if the number is above 10, you want to spell it out. But in a headline, let's say it's 11 habits, use the digit 11. Your 8th grade English teacher will understand. It just pops off the page a little more. Okay, the last proven headline format I'm going to give you, and again, there's a bunch of them, is the provocative question headline. Interested in exclusive behind the scenes conversion secrets? That could be a good headline for a marketing book. Wow, when you have the words exclusive, secrets, conversion, okay, you're really implying a promise or a benefit in that headline. And again, it's very straightforward. Interested in exclusive behind the scene conversion secret. Wow, what are they? You got to go into the body copy to find out. Now, word on headline, using questions for headlines. You don't want to use general headlines. Do you want to lose weight this summer? You want to have something a little more provocative, a little more specific. And if you use interested in exclusive behind the scenes conversion secrets, it doesn't say, do you want to learn about marketing? Okay. You go a little more deeper, make it a little more compelling, a little more provocative. When you use good questions for headlines, that's your setup. The payoff has to be that you actually answer the question in your body copy. A lot of people, sometimes they don't do that. We've all seen these headlines where you read a question headline and then the first couple lines of body copy are just more questions. If you ask a good question in your headline, make sure you pay it off in the body copy. So these are just 6 proven headline formats. There's a bunch of them. Could have been here all day just talking about them. But the point here is that headlines, you don't have to go for the zippy, witty, clever kind of thing. A lot of times just very simple headlines will do the trick because your goal is to grab your reader, drive them into your body copy. It can be that simple. Okay, secret number 3, make your copy what I call at a glance friendly. And I came up with this to give you a little analogy. I was a waiter at a fine dining restaurant in my 20s, a long time ago, in Los Angeles, California, at a fine dining restaurant near the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. And I worked with these great chefs, and they took so much pride in making food that was delicious. But they wanted to make the plate, the food on the plate, the appearance, the garnish on it, how the food was arranged was very important. It was like a presentation. So it was more than just tasty food. If the food needed to look good on the plate, and you want to do the exact same thing with your marketing copy, you want to make it very easy on the eye so that people are motivated to read it. So how do you make your copy friendly? This is my old dog Ranger. He's no longer with me. This is when he was a pup, and he made it onto my slides because he's very friendly looking. To make your copy friendly looking, and you're going to notice this style in all the examples. The one I already showed you and the ones I'm going to show you coming up, they're all in what I call an at a glance friendly format. And what that means is you want to employ a liberal use of headlines, subheads, short paragraphs that are only maybe 1 sentence, 2 sentence tops, and you want to use bullet points. And when you're done with the copy, you want to give your headlines a little skim. You want to make sure your headlines and subheads and call to action lines jump off the page. You always want to make sure your main points are easy to spot. So I'm going to start with an example of copy that is not at a glance friendly. And we've seen copy like this that looks like this a lot in Amazon descriptions. You hear about a book, you go to the Amazon page, you look at the description, and it looks like this. Just a dense, dark paragraph that looks like it's a slog to read through. And imagine if this is on your phone, it's going to be squished up even more. And it's just like, you may just kind of glance at it, not even read it all, because our brain just says, we're all busy, we're all bouncing around, our attention spans are shorter. You look at this and you go, I really don't want to read it. It just kind of looks kind of tough to read. But what if it looked like this? And again, same format as that previous example I showed you. This is for a wonderful book called You the Divine Genius by Carol Talbot that I worked on. And I'm not going to get into what the copy says, but again, it's a very benefit-driven copy. But if you just look at this looks very quick and easy to read. So you're more apt to, and again, simple headline, how do I reset my personal hard drive? But again, the copy is just very at a glance friendly. It looks super simple and easy, quick to read. We got a 1 sentence paragraph to start with, then we line space and have another one, just 1 sentence that leads into 3 benefit-driven bullet points, and then we close out with a couple lines that are separated. So this looks very simple to read, as opposed to this. Now, you may have already picked up on something. This copy here, word for word, is the exact same copy as this. But which copy are you more likely to read? I'm going to say it's this one. So this goes back to the thing about the fine dining, the chef putting the food on the plate. If you think this is good copy, then you have to agree that this is good copy because it says the exact same thing word for word. Obviously, this is a much better presentation. And the better presentation means you're going to get more eyeballs on your copy if it looks like this. More eyeballs on your copy leads to what? More book sales. So make it a point to set your copy so it looks more like this. You really want to avoid this. You want to have at a glance friendly copy. Okay, secret number 4. Paint solution pictures with the words. This requires a little bit of explaining. What you want to do, what this means is you want to direct the movie that's playing in the mind of your prospect or your potential reader. You kind of want to tell them a story. You set up a little movie that you're directing. Okay. And all that means is, I call it painting a satisfaction picture with words. I got a lot of different ways of saying this, but basically what you want to do with your benefit-driven copy, you want to detail what your reader's life will look or feel like when they've read your book or after they've read your book. Any promises that you're making, expectations or transformation you're talking about, you want to bring that to life as much as you can. A very simple way to state that is just to say your copy should look into your reader's future and tell the story of how their life has been transformed after reading your book. Nonfiction books, with rare exception, people start at point A and you're taking them to point B, right? And by the end of the book, you want them to know more or have skills or knowledge they didn't have before. You want to deliver a transformation. So what you want to do with your benefit-driven copy, as much as you can, is to illustrate what their life's going to look like or feel like after they engage with your book and all the information that you're sharing. I'm going to give you an example using some at-a-glance friendly copy. This is for a wonderful business book called Make Big Happen by Mark Moses. Really cool guy, very successful guy. Worked on his book marketing copy a number of years ago. We're going to jump through it pretty quick. Realize your dreams beyond the boardroom. Success in business is extremely rewarding and gratifying, but it shouldn't come at the expense of a well-rounded life. Instead, it can be a springboard to a life of gratitude, enjoyment, and giving. Again, it's kind of subtle, but a springboard into a future life. And we stress some benefits. In Make Big Happen, Mark illustrates through photos, stories, and action plans how his wildly successful business principles can be applied to a life in which and now we have some forward-looking benefit statements. Give back to your community and become a leader. Create an ambitious bucket list and check off items with abandon. Experience the fulfillment that comes with living your purpose. Stop living on autopilot and start living with energy and passion. Focus on things and people that increase your energy and avoid those that don't. So there's nothing extreme with the copy in terms of painting a picture of somebody's future, but these are all forward-looking benefit statements. You're painting a picture of what the person's life could be after they've read your book. So that's just something to think about when you're writing benefit-driven statements. Try to paint a picture of the transformation that can occur in your reader's life after they've read your book. And it doesn't have to be a super duper extreme, colorful, crazy thing. It could be very subtle, just like this copy. Okay, tip number 5, create a subhead sequence that engages the skimmers. This one here I got from when I was a kid. I think it was Boys Life magazine or something like that. Now, you guys have probably ran into this kind of thing too, but remember, there'd be like a 1-page article thing you would read, and there would be a note that says, okay, now go back and reread the article, but circle every 7th word and then read that and you'll get a secret message. And it was like a subliminal thing, and you'd circle every 7th word and then read it, and it was like a secret kind of message. I remember that, so I came up with this headline sequence. You can use a little technique like that to engage skimmers, because everybody comes to your sales page for your book, and what do? Their eyes, we all do it. We just start skimming, and our eyes tend to catch the headline and subheads first before we go in and start reading the body copy. Okay? So this just basically says what I told you. You're gonna have people come to your page, whether it be especially a sales page, because they tend to be a little longer than, say, an email or your Amazon description. And they're going to just quickly skim really quickly down the page and see if they want to read more detail. So what you can do to capture them is to set up a headline subhead sequence that's like this. So what I've got here is a headline and subhead outline That could be for a sales page. And this is a fictitious book called The Soul of Your Business by Penny Smith, who doesn't exist, although there is probably a Penny Smith in the world. But just check out the headline. You can see here, body copy goes here. I've left out any body copy. This would just be the main headline in subheads as you go down the page. So if somebody glances at the sales page for this book and they just catch this headline and subheads, what do you got? Discover the book that blends business with soul. Integrate mindfulness with entrepreneurial success. Create financial abundance through appreciation and focus. Turn your profession into a purpose-driven journey. View your company as a living being and not a machine. Purchase the book today and receive 3 special bonus gifts. So if people just glance at that headline and subheads, what do they get? They get a cohesive little micro sales message for the book. Okay, including a call to action telling them they get 3 bonuses. But if all you do is read this headline and these subheads, you have a strong idea of what you're going to get out of the book, therefore what the book is about. So this is a very subtle technique you can use when you set up a sales page. Think, what if they just look at the headline and my subheads? Do they get a cohesive little micro sales message that has a logical flow to it? Okay, because if they just glance at these headlines and subheads and think, hey, I'm interested in this topic, they might go right over to where your body copy goes here and start reading for more detail. So this is a cool little technique you can use, and a lot of people don't use it. But again, it's kind of subliminal, but it can be very effective of grabbing people, stopping the scroll, however you want to word it. And you can do a mini version of this for emails, even postcards. You can, in fact, any marketing content, a one sheet for your book that you're going to have subheads breaking up the copy. Think of this little technique, and I think it'll really help you out. Okay, now I got a little bonus secret for you. How to get perfect book endorsements. Everybody wants great endorsements or testimonials. It might sound too good to be true, but it's not. You can do this. I've done this with a bunch of authors. The big secret, drum roll, write your own endorsements. Then invite influential people to put their names on them. This technique works. I've worked with lots and lots of authors where part of the package when I was writing their marketing content was to pre-write testimonials that they can, if they've got some contacts or people in their industry, market authorities, they can show if they're trying to get someone to give them an endorsement, they can have some endorsements written in advance that the person can look at, and they can either say, yeah, I like that testimonial, I'm going to use that one, or they can take it and tweak it and edit it as much as they want to their liking. And then, of course, they can write something from scratch if they want. Okay, given those 3 options. Okay, so the question a lot of people have, well, gee, is this even ethical or is it sneaky? And my answer is no, it isn't. This is done routinely in the book publishing circles. I've written hundreds of endorsement quotes for authors who've used this strategy. How it's broken down. Let's say I've worked with an author who has someone in their industry that they have a relationship with that they want to get a book endorsement from. They may contact that person and the person says, sure, I'd love to write you an endorsement for your book. What do you want me to say? They say that a lot. So what you can say is, look, I've pre-written 7 or 10 endorsements. I'll show them to you. You can pick one if you like, or you can pick one and modify it to your liking. Or of course, you can just start from scratch and write your own. Always give them that option so it doesn't look like you're trying to force something on them. What I have found, usually 7 out of 10 times, the person will choose one of the pre-written testimonials. Maybe 2 times they'll grab one and then modify it. And then sometimes, maybe 1 out of 10 times, maybe more than that, somebody will want to write something from scratch. Now, when you pre-write your own testimonials, you want to keep them tight and concise because you want people to read them. So I've just got 2 examples here. The first one of these are vague general testimonials, but the main thing I want you to notice is that they're very tight. No doubt about it. This book is going to reshape careers and make a major impact in a lot of people's lives. It's a must read. It's just a couple lines. The second one is 2 lines plus a couple words. The reason you want to keep them tight and concise, let's say somebody sends you back a testimonial and it's 7 or 8 lines and it says a lot of great stuff about your book and you're pumped up about that. But then go back to that non-at-a-glance friendly copy that looked like a slog to read through. It was like 7 lines. If you have a testimonial on your sales page and it's 7 or 8 lines, people may look at it and go, okay, I know it's a testimonial, but it's going to take a long time to read. I'm going to just skip it. If it's on a phone, the person is reading it on the phone, that 7 or 8 line testimonial is going to look like 15 lines. If you just have a couple of lines, if your testimonials are just a couple lines, they're more apt to be read. So if you pre-write your testimonials, make them tight and concise so that more people are apt to read them. And if someone does supply you with one of those testimonials that's 7 or 8 good lines and it's all good stuff, get their permission to break it down into maybe 2 to 3 tight and concise testimonials that look more like this. Now, why would influential people in a market agree to this strategy? Number one, you save them time. They're busy people. If you can present them 7 or 8 quotes they can choose from, they might very well appreciate that. You're also, remember, you're giving them publicity. I've had my quote on the back of a couple of books. It made me look like an expert in my field. I felt good about that. So you're giving people free publicity when you have their quote on your sales page or on your back cover copy or your front cover. And what you do by doing that, you give them publicity and you're reinforcing their reputation as an industry expert. It's kind of a win-win for both of you. And I've written book quotes for market influencers. When they read the endorsement quote, they'll go, oh, I want that one. And they'll say something like, man, that makes me look intelligent. I'm just saying something really cool in a tight, concise way. So they appreciate that. And again, they may modify a word or two so it fits them a little better. But again, just keep in mind, it's a win-win for both of you because you're getting an endorsement, they're getting publicity and able to reinforce their reputation as an industry expert. It's a win-win. So if you've ever wondered how major authors get crisp and engaging endorsements from influential people, generally this is how they do it, and you can do the same thing. Okay, so I've given you a lot, and as I wrap up, this might be the most important thing I tell you. Writing book marketing copy doesn't have to be difficult, stressful, or fearful. It should be fun. Think of when you were a kid and used to experiment and play with stuff. Play with your book marketing copy. Have fun with it. Work on it while you're writing your book. You don't have to just wait till your book is done to write your book marketing copy. Have fun with it because you want your marketing copy to be exceptional. You don't want it to be mediocre. And I know a lot of people are writing their marketing copy these days with AI. They're using prompts and they're generating copy. And they can do it in 7 seconds, which is great. But the copy has to be exceptional. So no matter how you write it yourself, you hire a writer or you use AI, play with it, put time into it. I always say that good writing is rewriting, and great writing is rewriting some more. So start your marketing copy well in advance, play with it, have fun with it because it needs to be exceptional, not just good enough because AI wrote it in 10 seconds. You want to have exceptional marketing copy. Put a lot of time into it. So I hope I didn't overload you. I think I've given you some good stuff. This is just a tip of the iceberg of what I know and what I can talk to you about. So if you did want to know more, I'm always available. If you need my help, generally how I help people with their author copy these days is helping them write it or doing just coaching sessions to help them make what they've written or generated, make that copy better. First, if you got my first name, last name, I'm easy to get a hold of. There's my email and my website. And with that, I'm going to stop the share, Stephanie.
Great job as always, Casey. You managed to drop a ton of value in such a short amount of time. So we really appreciate that. If you have questions for Casey, please drop them in the Q&A. I'm going to do a quick screen share just to invite you all to, if you're not yet a member of the Nonfiction Authors Association, we'd love to have you. So drop your questions for Casey in the Q&A and give me 2 minutes just to share how we can continue to support you through your journey. So if you learned something new today, we'd love to have you. We do a lot of education through the Nonfiction Authors Association. And in fact, I know we have members attending today. So if you're a member here, would you drop a note in the chat about what benefits or value you've gained from being part of the Nonfiction Authors Association? I'd love for others to hear that. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the publishing industry, you are not alone. I will never forget how overwhelmed I felt when I ventured into publishing way back in 2003 and 4. And back then we didn't have internet answers or social media. I was buying books by the truckload, trying to understand this incredibly overwhelming industry. It hasn't gotten less complicated, let me tell you. If anything, it's gotten more complicated. So if you're confused, feeling overwhelmed, don't know about next steps, this is exactly why we exist. My goal with the Nonfiction Authors Association is to take you from frustrated, sad dog to happy dog. I love a dog analogy. But really, our goal is to help writers find the answers you need and shortcut the amount of time it takes to do that. Members receive access to a huge member success database. You can search for your questions, find answers. If you cannot find an answer, let us know. We will get it for you. But I'm very proud that database is full of a lot of answers, including legal agreements, templates, checklists, things like that. Every week, our members get media leads, podcasts seeking guests, website seeking articles, guest articles. And we're also running 36 community meetings a year. This doesn't even count as one of them. So we put members in breakout groups. We do a member roundtable where I and other publishing industry pros come on, we answer your questions. So, and our newest offering, which I'm so thrilled about, every month we host genre groups. This is an actual screenshot from last month's meetings. So if you're writing business, self-help, spirituality, memoir, sciences, history, we have specific Zoom breakout rooms where we connect you with each other, and you can ask for beta readers, you can support each other with book launches, ask questions, brainstorm marketing ideas. These have turned out to be really popular, and they're a benefit for all of our members. Members also get discounts on our annual online conference. We run lots of courses. We currently run a lot of 4 and 6 week courses. We have some new 1 week courses coming soon. And I'm not going to read you all the member feedback, but I just have to say, this is one of my favorites. Cynthia, thank you for this. I've yet to attend a conference, take a course, or review one of Stephanie's email updates and not comment to myself, that just paid for my membership. So that is really our goal, that you get a ton of value from being part of this community. We also have a 3-tiered membership program. So our VIP and thought leader members get advanced marketing strategies every Monday, Momentum Mondays. And it's a strategy that you can implement in 20 minutes or less. It's things like how to get bulk book sales. So advanced strategies land in your inbox as a VIP or thought leader member. So we have 3 tiers. Authority is great if you're new to publishing, feeling overwhelmed. Authority membership is a great starting point. If you're professional level, maybe you've already got a book out, 1 or more books out. VIP membership gives you free admission to the Nonfiction Writers Conference, those Monday Momentum advanced marketing emails. Thought leader members attend all of our courses for free, and we've added up the value. It's over $6,000 a year in value. So if you're a course taker, if you want to submerge yourself in education, consider joining as a thought leader member. And as members, we help you reach your goals faster. It's a supportive community. We get your questions answered. We help you see that path to clarity. So if you do join, if you're a new member and you join, I'm going to send you a copy of my marketing workbook. It's 230 pages. It's a monster, but it is full of worksheets, takes you through your book marketing process. In the checkout, type in the field that says, who can we thank for referring you? Type in webinar workbook. If you're in the US, we'll mail you a signed copy. If you're outside of the US, we will send you a digital copy. I personally ship those out, and I always include a little something extra in the packages. So you don't need to do this alone. If you are not yet a member, I hope you'll consider joining us. If you're an existing member and you want to upgrade, I'll send you the workbook as well. You can contact support for that upgrade. And I will stop talking now. Let's go ahead and take questions for Casey. All right, Casey, is it valuable to ask clients who have benefited from my book for an endorsement?
Oh, absolutely. If you've got fans, if people have benefited from your book, those are great people to get. endorsements from.
And endorsements really should come from influential people, but you can certainly stack up the opening pages, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say that if you've got people who've enjoyed your book and they have some level of market influence or they're a well-known name, that's what you want to shoot for. So you might do the little thing where here's the people who are my fans, and you might rank them. I want to shoot for Jim and Sally first, and if they're people whose names are going to be noticed as opposed to maybe your neighbor across the street or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. We just want, and really, we also want to be asking them for Amazon reviews too. Lynn is asking, Amazon copy, is there a character or count or number of word range that works best? Same question for her website.
I believe there's a character count in Amazon descriptions. I don't know what it is off the top of my
It's
head.
very long. You'd
Yeah.
have to work really hard to fill it.
Yeah.
It's very
And
long.
as far as your web pages, you can have, there's not a limit on the length of your copy. But here's something I always say about length, because there's all this discussion about your copy has to be so short or it can't be too long. And there's always a little debate because longer copy has sold lots of books and billions of dollars in products. But the saying we've always used is you can't be too long, you can only be too boring. Okay.
Ooh, wait, say that one more time.
It can't be too long, you can only be too boring. Okay. So you can write a 500 word sales bit for your book, and people pop through it. And you can write 500 words and people are bored crazy or they jump out after 200 words. It's just like when you watch a video, we've all watched 10-minute videos that just went by quick because it was a very well done video and we enjoyed it. We've watched 5-minute videos where it's like, when is this going to end? So it really is about the quality of your copy. And that's why you want to work hard on your copy, because you want each line you write to earn the next line. Yeah.
Earn the next line. And that's true when writing your manuscript. I always say, don't write to word count, write what needs to be said. And I love that line, Casey. You don't want to be boring. Lynn also says, should you use only a certain number of bullet points? And what about bolded statements?
If you want to bring attention to certain words in your copy, bold, underline, italicize, all of that is fine. Do that a lot. In terms of bullet points, and I'll give you a bullet point trick. I don't think you want to have 15. Typically, you see, for some reason, we've always used odd numbers. You might see 3 or 5, but you want to have at least 3 if you're using bullet points. Okay. But let's say we're going to go with 3 bullet points. We'll say 5. We're going to use 5 here in this example. What you typically think, your brain says, well, I want the most important one first, and the second most important one second, and you rank them down 1 through 5, right? That's not what you want to do. Here's a trick. Your most important bullet point first, your second most important bullet point, put that one last. Because when people glance through bullet points, they almost always, a lot of the things I've seen in the past, they look at the first bullet point and the last bullet point. They tend to get read. So you want your 2 most important bullet points to be your first one and your last one. If they're going to skip over anything, it's going to be the middle ones. So that's just a little trick. But you want all your bullet points to be really good, conveying some sort of benefit-driven bullet points.
That's a knowledge bomb right there. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of copywriters in hardcore direct response copy. Their little motto is get to the bullet points quick. You'll see some classic sales pages where it's a few lines of copy and then they get to bullet points. So bullet points are important.
I love them. They break up the text.
Yeah.
And Lynn used an industry term that I bet some people aren't familiar with, best CTA. That's call to action. What are your thoughts on CTAs?
You want to be very confident with your call to action lines. Okay, because where our call to action lines are typically at the end of your copy. Okay. So you don't want to write a line like, if you're interested, visit my website. Assume interest, especially if they've read that far down, they're interested. So your call to action, instead of, if you're interested, you just write, visit my website to find out more, or find out more by visiting my website. Make your call to action lines definitive, and confident. Assume interest. Don't get squishy with your call to action lines like, I believe this. It's like, you just definitely say what you think or tell them what you want to do, what you want them to do next. That's the golden rule with call to action lines is be definitive, be confident, tell people what you want them to do next. Don't assume people know that you want them to buy your book. If you want them, if the call to action is buy my book, tell them to buy the book. If it's go to the website, tell them to go to the website. Don't assume they know. Go ahead and tell them. And here's something, a big tip I'll give you that kind of ties into that. Your call to action lines tend to be at the end, let's say of a sales page or something, or a postcard or whatever. Include PS lines. PS. Always, I didn't cover that as one of the tips, but I could have. Always have a PS line, especially on a sales page, because people's eyes go to a PS line. A PS line is a great way to reiterate your main benefit statement. It's a great way to introduce maybe a bonus that you're going to throw in or something like that. People's eyes gravitate to PS lines as much as they do headlines. And I've got a theory on, and there's all these kind of eye test theories as to why. But my theory is this. Back in fourth grade, what did we do in class? We passed notes, right? And where was the juicy stuff? In the PS line. Susie has a big crush on Jimmy. Don't tell him. I'm running away from home next week. Do you want to go with me? The juicy stuff is in the PS lines, and it comes from when we were little kids. So there's been all these like theories and intellectual stuff about why people's eyes gravitate to PS lines. I say it's from passing notes in fourth grade. So take advantage of PS lines.
I love that. And like statistically, PS lines are read more than like the whole rest of the copy. So
Yeah.
that is a powerful place to put a note.
Juicy stuff is in the PS line. We all know that.
I'm not quite sure how to address John's question. What about social media marketing and pre-marketing? I guess any tips on copy for social media, Casey?
Well, what I do when I've written, typically when I've worked with authors, I've written like a message platform for their book. So I'll write their sales page, back cover copy, Amazon description, social media blurbs. I write all that stuff for them in one package that might be 10 to anywhere from 10 to 20 pages long. And I always write the sales page first because from there you could start breaking things down. So I would say write your sales page first. And from a sales page, you've got tons of content from which you can then create shorter social media blurbs. And by doing it that way, those social media blurbs are going to be very consistent and aligned with the marketing copy that's on your sales page, the marketing copy that's in your Amazon description. So I write the longer stuff, and then I start breaking it down and writing the shorter stuff. Typically your social media blurbs or some of your shorter stuff. So don't write that first, write your bigger like sales page first, and then break it down. And you can break it down a sales page into lots of different social media blurbs. And then in terms of, a strategy for social media, that's a whole webinar in itself. And there's people who've got really tricked out social media strategies for books.
Yeah. I think we've been a little oversold on social media in general. I don't think many authors would tell you that's their primary source of book sales unless they've really built a massive following, which isn't easy to do, but you certainly want your messaging to align.
Yeah. And again, that kind of goes back to one of those points I made right up top is that a lot of people use social media to build a buzz, get the word out, create a little excitement, but you got to have that copy that makes people want to buy it.
Yeah, when they land on your book page, absolutely. Kathy has a great and very relatable question. She says, I self-published a memoir last fall. It's letters I wrote to my dog before and after he passed away. I'm a certified pet loss grief specialist, but the book is the story. It isn't a how-to or anything like that. What I found is that people who already know me really loved it because they learned stuff about me they didn't know. Other than that, not much feedback. I've sold about 50 copies since launching in October 25. Any suggestions for what to say in my marketing copy? I spent way too much money on Amazon ads and stopped them altogether because of lack of sales.
I had to put my dog down a few months ago, my Black Lab Ranger, who was on the slide. So I know, and I've had three
Brutal.
wonderful labs, and there will be a fourth, but I know about pet grief. And what people are looking for, lessons, comfort. I still talk to my dog. I still wait for him to walk into the room. Again, we were talking about the benefits you provide or the lessons. So if you have a story about losing a dog, there's lots of lessons that you can convey to people. So you might be thinking of what are the lessons people can get from my story that'll help them deal with the grief you have for a pet. Because a lot of times you grieve more over your pets. I've had friends die this year. I freak out more about my dog.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. I think some of the lessons are it's okay to feel a certain way. I mean, my dog's toys are still over in the other room. He had his chew toys and stuff like that. They're chewed up. The next dog's going to get his toys, but I can't get rid of my dog's toys, you know?
Yeah.
So I think when you get into these kind of lessons that you can convey to people, that'll make your story very relatable. So I would say focus on lessons and wisdom. Maybe it's not the classic, as I was talking about when you're writing down your benefits, it's not always the classic benefit takeaways or the transformation. There's a transformation in there where of acceptance, like it's okay to feel this way. If I get another dog, am I cheating on my other dog? We kind of feel like, am I disrespecting my previous dog by getting a new one? Have I mourned long enough? So I would get into those feelings that whatever feelings you have about losing a pet, lots of other people have them too. And they're going to gain comfort. I've watched all kinds of YouTube videos in the last 4 months on pet grief, and they kind of make me, okay, I'm not the only one thinking this.
100%. I think,
Yeah.
I'm sure this is very relatable to so many. Pet grief is huge. I read once that pet grief can be harder than a human because we can't communicate the same way,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right? You can't have a conversation and say your goodbyes and show your gratitude. And I would say that for memoir in particular, we read memoir because we're interested in relating to the story in some way, Kathy. So I think I don't know what your sales copy looks like, but maybe it needs to end with optimism. Because if I'm deep in pet grief and you have a book about letters to your dog, it might, if I'm reading the description and it sounds like it's just going to rip that wound open, right? So is it hopeful? Those types of things. And another thought I had when I was reading that, and Casey, maybe you've heard about this trend, but prescriptive memoir. So, prescriptive memoir is you're still telling a story, but you're offering some kind of tips. And I would say, Kathy, I know it's a lot to ask someone to update or re-release a book, but if you're a certified pet loss grief specialist, I would assume you're offering some sort of paid services. A prescriptive memoir with tips on how to get through this kind of grief or prepare for the loss or whatever it is might actually not only attract more readers but attract business growth for you too. So that's just some thoughts I had. We're deep in a 12-week course on how to write your book right now, Casey, and it's tricky with memoir because you want it to be relatable
Yeah.
with the audience, and that's a sensitive, such a hard subject. I'm sorry about your dog. So, Casey, to get a reader to buy your book, is it better to have a clear table of contents where the secrets you're sharing are obviously outlined, or to hide those secrets in the book content? I often find myself not buying a book simply because I can get the 7 steps they promise just by reading the TOC. What are your thoughts?
I'm a big believer in providing value. Provide value, and then you go deeper. Because there's always been a thing, let's say you do a webinar based on your book. There's always been a thing of, well, how much value should I provide in a webinar? I don't want to give away the farm. And I was working for 3 years for Jeff Walker, who's a big name in the product launch world. And he would give webinars. His theory was the best training you can get on product launches is my $2,000 program. The second best training you can get is my free webinars. He put out lots of value in his webinars and always invited people to go deeper with them. You know, a chapter title, you can provide a really good value nugget, and people are more likely, if they're into it, they know there's much more detail in the chapter itself. You're going to go deeper. So I'm just a big believer in don't hold back, provide value whenever you can, and invite people to go deeper with you.
Agreed 100%. Doug says suggestions on people to test market copy, questions to ask them as prompts for reading the copy. Do you suggest people run their copy by others?
Yeah, if you're part of a group, like your genre group or something like that, and you've got, let's say, a trusted group of 4, 5, 6 people, and you all talk about your writing with it, I think it's a great idea to show people your copy. And it's a way of testing it. If you can test your copy, because if people are familiar with your book, they may recognize something, they may have suggestions for you that you didn't even think of. Like something like when I started doing speaking like this, I would do a webinar and think, okay, this stuff here is pretty basic. I've got to add more in because I don't want to just give the basic stuff. People will feel like they're not getting enough. What I found though is when I started getting feedback was, hey, good content, Casey, but you could have cut back and made it more simple because it became kind of overwhelming. Because what's basic to me might be brand new, eye-opening stuff to somebody else. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing with your material. So if you've got a trusted group who's familiar with your material, definitely test it. That's just kind of a standard with sales copy is you always want to test, test, test. So if you can show it to a group and get some feedback, it doesn't mean you have to incorporate everything they say, but they may make a comment or two that kind of opens your eyes. Like maybe they benefited from your book in a way that you didn't even expect people to benefit from. You know,
Right.
so they may open your eyes to something. So
Workshop it in our community too.
yeah.
Casey, they're asking for your contact information. Can you put it in the chat for everyone, how to get a hold of you? I know we're at the top of the hour. We're going to stay and keep answering questions, but some of you may have other appointments. So I want to make sure you get Casey's contact information. He is available as a consultant. You can tell he's just fantastic and so talented and down to earth, which is one of my favorite qualities in a human being. So if you're interested in connecting with Casey, he's going to post that in the chat for all of you. And I also just want to say thanks to all of our members who wrote such glowing feedback in the chat. I appreciate you. Those of you considering joining, I hope you will, and we will stay, continue answering the questions. You will get the slides this afternoon and the recording. I'm having so much fun. I'm glad we're still going, Casey. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Pam says regarding the cover of the book, she's hired 2 designers, neither of which pop for me or my focus group. I used AI with lots of changes, edits, finally got what I think is the best cover. What are your thoughts about that?
I am not a real design specialist, but as far as using AI, I've worked with a designer for many years who's done a ton of great books, Nick Zellinger. And I heard him talking about this. And one thing he mentioned, and I can't say for 100% this is true, but I trust Nick. He said when AI creates a cover, you don't own the copyright on that cover because it
Correct.
grabs elements from wherever, and you may be grabbing copyrighted elements, and you have to be real careful because you could be doing something you're not supposed to be doing, using copyrighted images or something like that. That's what I've heard. And again, but in general, with book covers, test them. That's what I would have to do with the book covers because I think this is good, but when I design my living room, I got to get help because it looks good to me, but maybe it doesn't look good to other people. So I think if you get a few of them and test them and get some input, on Facebook, you see all the time people like, hey, I'm going to put out a book. Here's some book covers. What do you guys think? Okay. Now here's something else, and this is this in the being in the product launch world a lot. What's good about doing that is you get feedback, but you're also getting people involved in the creation of your book or the creation of your program. And people are more apt to support something that they feel like they're part of creating. So I would say even if you've got 5 possibilities and you're definitely going to use one, I'd still put something out and say, hey, let's get some feedback. What do you guys think? Make them a part of what you're doing. It just starts building buzz about your book too. So you can have some fun with that and get good feedback.
Yeah. I using AI for design of a commercial product makes me very nervous, whether it's a book or a t-shirt design. As Casey said, you can't protect the copyright. So please be careful with that. And I would maybe take the design you really like to a designer who can make it unique and your own that's copyright. You can't, yeah. I could go on about that. So just be careful. I love AI, but be careful in using it for that kind of creative work. I just wanted to see there's a couple in the chat. Let's see, guys. If you have questions, last chance, drop them in the Q&A. Does it make sense to use your bullet points that you would use on the back of your print book as the description for your ebook? Yes, right? Casey's same copy.
Yeah. Yeah, here's another little one-liner for you. Reputation of your message builds the reputation of your book. People need to be exposed to your message multiple times for it to sink in. So don't think, oh, I use these bullets on my back cover. I can't use them on this sales page I created or this sheet that I'm taking to a conference about my book that I want to hand out to people or on postcards that I want to give out to people. Your message is going to get repetitious to you. So you start thinking, I keep saying the same thing, but it's not repetitious to everybody else. They need to see it. It needs to become repetitious to them so that it sinks in. So repetition of your message builds a reputation of your book. What you don't want to do is talk about your book differently in every different thing you create. It might be fresh to you doing it that way, but it can be confusing to your reader, and you never really have a message that sinks in with people because they're not exposed to it enough.
GH for, I'm not quite sure what you're trying to do in the member dashboard, but please send a note to help@nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. They'll get you whatever link you need. We have a great support team. Thank you all. This was amazing. Casey, you are just a gem. I so appreciate you sharing your wisdom. I could listen to you. I'm sure you could teach this for 12 straight hours and we'd still want to know more. So thank you so much for that.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
And we've put Casey's info in the chat. Tell us what kind of services you could help with. Could you audit copy? Could you write it from scratch? You coach, do all the above?
Yeah, I have people contact me with stuff that they've written in. We'll do some coaching sessions and make it better, kind of copy doctorate. In the past, I wrote a full, what I call a core message platform for a book, where we put together copy for a sales page, back cover, promotional emails, Amazon descriptions, some social media blurbs, create one package that contains all of that. And again, that's because you want to have messaging for all these pieces that are tied together. A bit repetition builds reputation. So pretty much working on packages like that. What I generally don't do is it's hard to go through an entire book and everything and then just write the back cover. So when I do writing, I tend to do packages so that you get lots of stuff and it's worth it for both of us to put all the time into it to create a volume of stuff. But then a lot of people, especially these days, a lot of people are generating with their own stuff with AI. They'll contact me and say, hey, could we do a 1 hour coaching session or 3 sessions or something like that?
Let's do a little, we didn't mention AI at all. So AI, lots of people are using it for copywriting, and I see value in brainstorming. It scares me as a writer that people are writing books with it. And I've certainly run stuff through to see what kind of copy it gets back. Never once have I said, oh, it nailed it. That's the copy I wanted. Right. So AI is a tool. I like it as a tool for brainstorming, for automating tasks. Please be careful using it for creative. Casey, would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I don't want to sound biased because I'm a copywriter. I'm fortunate in that I've had over a 30 plus, I've had a full, healthy, good career before AI came along. So I'm not desperate for work all the time or anything like that. So just to give you my best opinion that's not biased, be careful I'm on Substack a lot, and I see a lot of Substack writers who are like, hey, I've taught AI my voice. And I've taught it to write uniquely for me. And I read their stuff and go, no, you haven't. It sounds like everybody else. Also, AI cannot, if you put little personal anecdotes, stories, or asides or quips from your life, AI can't build that into your copy. You have to do that. And that's real important these days because there's a saying going around right now that is, okay, well, how-to information isn't very valuable because you can just get how-to information very quickly by typing in a prompt. But how-I information is super valuable. So if you're teaching, providing information, you want to build your personality into it, your stories, your wisdom, your experiences. AI really can't do that. And then ultimately, you want exceptional copy, not just copy that you wrote in 8 seconds. Because how long time do you take writing a book? If you write your marketing copy while you're writing your book, put time into it, and you got to set the bar really high to get noticed. Not just, okay, it's good enough. AI cranked it out. Boom. Check that off. I've got an Amazon subscription, or I've got back cover copy, or I've got a sales page because AI did that for me in 27 seconds. If you do that because they don't want to pay for help. If you don't want to pay for help, you want to do it yourself. That's great, but put the time into it.
Iterate. First pass is never enough. And literally, the description of your book can make or break the sales. Literally, it's so important.
And the behind the scenes thing about copywriting, like I've written a lot of copy for people, and they go, "Gee, Casey, you have a gift." Yeah, the gift of being willing to write it 27 times to get it right.
Like you do it in one pass, and then here you go. Yeah.
Like somebody sprinkles pixie dust on you and you crank out this stuff. It's sales copy, direct response copy, things that get people to buy things. Those writers put in a lot of time, and you really pour over it, and you just analyze every sentence, because as I said earlier, every sentence has to earn its way on there, and it has to, okay, you got to be worthy of writing the next sentence based on the sentence before it. You got to earn your way through the whole thing.
One of my favorite book descriptions to recommend reading is James Clear's Atomic Habits. He is a marketer. He writes so well. So do any books come to mind that you would say have great copy?
That one does. Gosh, that's a tough question because
putting you on the spot. Because I study them. I'm constantly looking for, and that's a tip. Go study the books that are selling well and how their descriptions are written.
Yeah, and it's amazing how some good books don't have great copy, but the author's name is like Barack Obama or Oprah Winfrey.
They can get away with that. The rest of us mere mortals have to have great copy.
Yeah, and you don't want to fall into the thing of looking at a bunch of books that have mediocre copy so you can have mediocre copy too. You want to have something that's as good as you can make it.
Deborah's asking for the book. I'm typing it in, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one of the best book descriptions I've ever read. It literally is striking. Great focus on the transformation. All right, Casey, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone here. And hopefully we'll see you in the community a little bit more. I'd love to have you join some of our community calls too. So I'll circle back with you on that. All right.
Awesome. This was fun.
This was great. You're getting lots of praise in the chat. And then please get in touch with Casey if you need support with all your copywriting needs. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you soon. Thanks, Casey.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for attending this webinar by the Nonfiction Authors Association. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you need support navigating the complexities of the publishing industry and want to reach your author goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com.